Join me as I dive into the challenge of harnessing social influence to see just how much it can really change my decisions and actions. Social influence is a fundamental concept in understanding human behavior, shaping our actions and beliefs in profound ways. It's the unseen force that drives us to conform, to adapt, and to make choices that might not always align with our personal values or goals. Have you ever stopped to think about how much social influence affects your daily life? From the clothes you wear to the music you listen to, from the restaurants you eat at to the politicians you vote for, social influence is always at play. But how far does its reach really extend? Do we truly understand the extent to which our social surroundings shape our decisions? We often underestimate the power of social influence, thinking we're making choices based on our own free will. But the truth is, we're constantly being influenced by the people around us, even when we're not consciously aware of it. This lack of awareness is what makes social influence so insidious. It can be both a positive force and a negative one, depending on the context. It's easy to see how social influence can lead us down a path of groupthink, where we sacrifice our individuality to fit in with the crowd. But what's more surprising is how it can also lead us to make irrational decisions, simply because we're trying to avoid social disapproval or rejection. By understanding the full scope of social influence, we can start to make more informed choices about the company we keep, the media we consume, and the values we uphold. Social influence comes in many forms, from conformity to persuasion to social proof. Conformity is perhaps the most obvious, where we adopt certain behaviors or attitudes simply because everyone else is doing them. Persuasion is a more insidious form, where we're convinced to adopt a particular point of view through clever marketing or manipulation. And social proof is the most subtle of all, where we make decisions based on what others are doing, assuming that if everyone else is doing it, it must be right. Let's take social proof as an example. Have you ever scrolled through social media and seen a post from a friend or influencer raving about a new restaurant or product? Suddenly, you're more likely to try it out, simply because someone you trust has given it their stamp of approval. This is social proof in action. We're using other people's opinions as a shortcut to making our own decisions. Another classic example is conformity. Imagine walking into a crowded room where everyone is clapping along to a song. Even if you don't know the song or aren't really feeling it, you're likely to start clapping along too, just because everyone else is doing it. This is conformity at work. We're adopting a behavior simply because it's what everyone else is doing. One of the most famous studies on social influence is the Asch conformity experiment. In this study, participants were asked to identify which line was the same length as a reference line. Sounds simple, right? But here's the catch. The participants were placed in a room with several Confederates who were instructed to give incorrect answers. Time and time again, the participants conformed to the group's opinion, even when it was clearly wrong. This study shows just how powerful social influence can be, even when it goes against our own perceptions and judgment. The Asch experiment highlights the darker side of social influence, where we sacrifice our individuality and critical thinking for the sake of group cohesion. But it also raises an important question. What happens when we're surrounded by people who are pushing us to make better choices, to be more creative, or to take risks? Can social influence be used as a force for good? In exploring the power of social influence, we've seen just how pervasively it affects our behavior and decisions. From conformity to persuasion to social proof, social influence is always at play, shaping our choices in ways both subtle and profound. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of social influence. I'd love to hear about your own experiences with social influence in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my other videos on related topics, and don't forget to subscribe for more content on psychology, self-improvement, and personal growth.